Hey everyone, welcome back to Aero Traditions. I'm going to go over another product. I haven't done one of these in a while, and I'm at that part of the season where everything's done. Tags are filled, unfilled, whatever the case may be, but I had some success this year, and one of the last things I do, I empty out my pack, get everything out of there, and it's time to clean it. So every year at the end of the fall, when I'm done hunting, I used to use a lot of hydrogen peroxide to work out blood and some of that stuff. Typically I'll throw like the main bag into the washer, get that in there just with detergent, and get mud, dirt, whatever else might be on my bag cleaned off. But one of the hardest things to clean is the blood from packing out. And so I packed an elk out this year. I also packed out a deer with it, so I do have some blood on it. I took a spill in the river and got it covered in mud and dirt and everything else. So it's just that time of year where I need to clean it up before next year. So I picked up another product from Velvet Antler Technologies, and this is their StainSkrub. It is essentially a stain remover, but it's kind of like hydrogen peroxide in a sense that it's going to affect the blood that's in the pack. So it's enzymatic. Cleaner, so when you put it on blood, it should pull that blood out. What I'm going to do is I'll kind of show you what it looks like. It's very much like your regular stain remover. It does have a smell to it, kind of a lemony scent. I sprayed a little bit on there quite a while ago just to see and soak that in, but I'm going to hit the blood spots mainly with that, and then the rest of the pack, like I said, is going to go into my washer and then probably hang dry after that. As far as the frame, I won't put that in the washer. I'm going to wash that in the bathtub, and I'll kind of show you how I do that. So with this, it's the 5000 K4 pack from Exo Mountain Gear. Really enjoyed this pack, and it's just time to clean it up. So I'll kind of get it tore down, show you what that looks like, get some before and after pictures, put those up, and kind of insert those as well so you can see what it looks like prior to the cleaning and afterwards. But this is the StainSkrub from Velvet Antler Technologies. They have a couple different versions. Also comes in a can, I believe. But this is just like any regular laundry stain remover. You're just going to spray it on the areas that you need covered. So that'll be the next step. I also have a drill that I have a brush that once I start working it into some of those areas where the blood's at, I'll use that brush just to kind of work that in. I'm going to let that sit for quite a while because the blood has been on there since September all the way through the end of November. I'm week of Christmas right now, so I don't have any other hunts planned right now, so that's why I figured right now is a good time. Everything's emptied out, start hitting those areas. The main pack, when I do the StainSkrub, I'm going to throw that in, like I said, just with scentless detergent. I use Tide All Free generally. It's fragrance free. But it does a good job cleaning. So I'll do that, throw the main pack, like I said, probably the lid, a couple of other accessories I have with it, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I have, at this point, I've got my bag basically taken off. I took the lid off as well, and so I was kind of looking around. There's a little spot of blood, and so what I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to use that StainSkrub, put that on there, and there's a spray, off, and stream. So I'm going to just use the spray to start with, and just kind of put it on there like that. And with that enzymatic cleaner, like I said, with my drill, this is going to pop a little bit, but just kind of work that in there. And you can do it even just with hand with the brush, and then I'm going to let that sit, and I'm going to let that kind of, realistically, if you wanted to, you could just take a hose and wash it off, and that stain should come out of there. But I am going to thoroughly wash all of this, and so you know, with my buckles and that, I've taken a lot of my strap keepers and that, pulled those out. Any buckles that I can remove, I like to do that. I will just soak those in warm water, get the mud and dirt out of there. With some of these, like on the pack here, they're actually Some may be sewn in, but again, I had some accessories on here with my my bow holder and bow lanyard that I carry that in. I've got some of those attached there, so I'll take those off. But again, I'm going to remove those buckles, and as you can see, pretty good staining of blood on here, mud, dirt, blood on the pack. So I'm going to hit those spots with that StainSkrub, and then later on, like, I'll soak this just in the bathtub, and I'll kind of show you that process and cleaning that up. But I'm going to go through there, spray those areas down, and get this thing kind of cleaned up. When you're packing out, typically the bloodiest part is going to be your frame, or you're hauling meat against it, and so that's going to be the main area of focus. The hard part on some of these is going to be the straps. The straps seem to be one of the harder areas to clean, and I don't know if it just is how the blood gets into the straps, but that area can be a little more difficult, might take you a little bit longer. And some of that, so you can see sometimes those strap keepers are a little tougher to get, but we like to clean all those. Again, I'm going to take those buckles off and separate those, get those washed up separately, and just give it a good thorough cleaning. So I'll get some pictures here, like I said, of the major stains, add those in over the top so you can kind of see what I'm working with there, and go from there. So I'll keep taking these off. I'm not gonna have you watch as I tear this all apart completely. I think you kind of get the point of it all. The good thing with this too, when you're doing this, if you have a pack that separates the bag from the frame, it gives you an opportunity to learn how to pack with that. I've used this a bunch, and so I've done a lot of packing with this one. It's probably still has some blood stains from last year. I try to do my best to get them out every year, but just part of it. It's not that it hurts the pack at all. It's what they're designed for. But it is nice starting with a clean pack. So the next one, I will get this kind of separated and kind of show you what I'm going to do. Spraying those down, I explained it up here, but I'll show you kind of the overall of this. Like I said, I can see there's pretty good blood staining through here. Again, the straps, just one of those areas they tend to be a little bit tougher to get out of there. So we'll hit that good and then go from there. Okay, so I've got everything separated from, I have the bag that is completely separated. I've got the lid that is separated, and then I've got my frame. And so again, I'm just kind of examining my pack, looking for stuff, kind of checking things out. I may have some staining. The biggest thing with the StainSkrub that I'm looking at is those blood stains, because of the type of staining cleaner that it is going to work better on that. Now, a regular detergent is going to be fine for just washing the bag, soaking in the bathtub, and that. So again, checking accessories. I packed with this. Got some blood staining on this as well. So I'll spray those areas down just to give it a good thorough cleaning and kind of go from there. So I'm going to start with the frame, and what I'm going to do is I may further separate, like my belt comes off on this one, and you can really do a lot of good by going through and making sure all of this is clean. It's going to help as you put this back together and tearing it apart. So these are pretty easy to take apart. Everything kind of just separates into different pieces, but like my waist belt, I can likely get that piece, put it in the dryer. Always look at your manufacturer to make sure all that's good. But yeah, as you can see, got a lot of dirt, grime in there. I can get that. Just kind of clean some of that out of there. So kind of clean some of that out of there, get some of the dirt, grime out of there. they do a very good job of being able to kind of break everything down. It's going to make it easier to clean all this up. You know, I may end up actually taking my shoulder straps off, washing those separately. Not sure exactly what I'll end up doing with that, but again, as I keep tearing this apart, finding more pieces that I can take down and separate and make sure it's good and clean. And most of this, when you put it back together, try to remember which buckles you have, where they came from, as you're doing that. And so, okay, I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning this portion here, and get this scrubbed, and then just let this soak. That lined up so you can see it okay. These ones are kind of important because it's set to where I like to have my pack. And so trying to remember which notch it's on. Pretty easy for this one because I just have that top bar, just the one above it. And after some use, it's probably got a little wear on there too to remind me of where that's at. So again, these are pieces I can probably now honestly get this all in a wash and get it clean. The thing you're going to want to be careful is like the lumbar pad, specific to this one, is just because of how thick that is and what it might do. So I'm just going to spray this whole thing just because it does have, you know, quite a bit more blood than other pieces. Again, it's kind of a lemon scent, soap scent, so it does have some smell to it. And then go through. So I'm trying to hit those thicker areas a little bit longer, but that blood's already coming out of there. That's looking good. So what I'll do is I'll hit the rest of the pack. You can see what that looks like. It's like pretty much every other stain remover you've probably used. It just has some chemicals in it that are specific to blood and cleaning that stuff out. So I'm going to go ahead, continue, get the rest of this pack all cleaned up, and next step I'll show you is kind of how I wash it, where I'm going to be cleaning all that. I may end up, now that I got it all tore apart, just throw it in the wash and hit it with some Tide, clean it up after that. I'll probably let this sit for a good hour, if not a little longer, just to let that sit in, soak in, and get this a little more here, and let that blood really come out of that material. So pretty stiff brush, but it's not hurting the material any. Again, just kind of want that to soak in, hit that nice and good, and just kind of keep hitting this. So you'll see a big difference once it's all clean, but I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. Next step, like I said, I'll show you what I do as far as the wash. Okay, so I was going to do the washing machine, did some more reading on it. It suggests just to put it in basically just in water. So I'm going to use my tub in the house. I basically just threw all my strap keepers and buckles in my hip pouch. So again, I'm just going to soak those, but I'm also going to wash this up. And so I'm going to make sure, open them up, that way everything can get soaked. I am using warm water. I'm just using, again, Tide Um, I think it's clean and free, or I've got it here, clean and gentle. And so there's no scents in it. It's fragrance free. The part that takes long to dry out is going to be your shoulder pads, and like the lumbar pad will take quite a bit too. But I'm just going to soak those. I like to get them in there. Just kind of hand scrub for the most part. Let the soap kind of soak into that. Grab individual pieces, and I'm just going to kind of let them soak with that. Again, this is going to be the worst of it, is that frame. And so I can already see the water getting a little dirty, and so the more I add in, the more that's going to be. And typically I kind of just hand wash a little bit here and there. And just kind of let that stuff soak. I'm going to keep this going. Again, I like to keep everything open. Make sure your bag, everything's out of there, but obviously, I'm going to get it all in there. Again, this stuff is pretty dirty too. I like to just open everything up. Zippers, let water get in wherever it needs to. It's all going to hang dry after. Side pockets, front pockets, and I'm just going to, again, try and get some of the dirt, all that, get that out of there. Got everything pretty well coated in the stain cleaner, and I'm just going to move everything in here. I found this is the easiest way to clean a pack. This is how I've routinely done it in the past, is just in the tub and try and get all the dirt from that. And then I will hang dry, probably for a couple days, to let it completely dry in a warm place. You know, I'm in December right now, so it can be a little iffy in the winter time, but, and then kind of just come back, find those spots where I got some mud, try to get that clean. It's better if you have a brush to get some of this out, but for the most part, this isn't too bad. The ones I want to check are like the pack where I have some of those blood stains. I'm not seeing anything. A little bit right here. I might go a little brisker there just because of that. So I might go out, grab my drill, grab that brush, and I'll keep doing that on those. Same with, where's the other piece that's going to be bloodiest. And kind of just look them over where those blood stains were. Not seeing it too bad here, so it might be alright. And then at the end of it, when it's all dry, I will know for sure how we're sitting. So I'm going to go get my brush, clean that up, and you'll see the finished product when it's dry. So at the end, this is kind of what that water should look like. If it's a well-used pack, got blood, dirt, all that stuff coming out of there. So that is me pulling everything kind of out of the water right now. Now I'm going to drain it, put some fresh water in, and rinse everything real well. Alright guys, so I got everything completely done. It's dried out. Everything's washed up. I took a few pictures of the after. You were able to see kind of what the water looks like after you've washed that, the dirt, the blood, all that. There's a lot of mess that comes out of this. I was extremely impressed with StainSkrub. Like I said, I used to use hydrogen peroxide as an enzyme cleaner for blood specifically. The nice thing with hydrogen peroxide I would find is when I would use it, it would foam up white, so I knew it was working. Where there was still some particles of blood that I was able to wash out, but it didn't really stop the staining necessarily, or I wasn't able to get it completely out of the straps. StainSkrub, I use that, did a very good job. I'll show you the before and after pictures of what that looked like, of some of those blood stains. And then also, I did find there was a couple places on some of the buckles and strapping and webbing that the blood didn't fully come out, but it looks a lot better than when I started. So I started spraying here, and there's literally no blood there on the pack itself. I'll zoom in here in just a second. You'll be able to see the difference. But literally no blood left on that frame. I'll grab that real quick. You can see that. What that looks like. So again, at the bottom of the pack there was a lot of blood staining. You can kind of see it on the straps right through here, and then underneath here you'll be able to see a little bit of staining left, but not a big deal at all. Much cleaner than it was before. So again, I didn't get all the stain out of there, but for the most part that pack is extremely clean from what it was. So again, very impressed with StainSkrub. Again, really good stuff. It's cheap. It was $14.99. I picked it up at Shields. They do carry a lot of the Velvet Antler Technology products, from their Bone Bright to their Velvet Lock, Fan Lock, Hide Lock, all that stuff. Shields carries all that, so you can get it at any Shields store or order straight from Velvet Antler Technologies. But very impressed with their stuff so far from what I've used. Again, I use Trophy Clean. I made a video of that previously. And then Velvet Lock. I used it on a velvet buck I killed a couple years ago. The chemicals that they put together and the products that they have, I've been, like I said, very impressed with. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys so you get a chance to see that, what it looks like. Now that this is all clean, I'm going to put it all back together, and it'll be ready for next year, starting in spring. So like I said, it's something I do every fall at the end of season when everything's ready to be cleaned and put away and ready for the next season, whether it's spring, fall, whatever it may be. But it's safe to use. Like I said, I'm probably going to use it on game bags as well as any of my clothes that I end up getting blood on from now on. I'm just going to use that. And realistically, if you take this into camp and all of a sudden you get everything covered in blood, it's just as easy. Spray that stuff on, let it sit for, that bottle says 20 minutes. I left it sit for about a half hour, 40 minutes, somewhere in there. But let it sit, soak in, hose it down, and well, before that, grab a brush, like I had showed, kind of to work that product into there, and then wash it off with a hose, and it'd be just fine. So if I end up packing out with it at camp and get back, it might be just an intermittent cleaning in between hunts from now on. So like I said, StainSkrub, check it out, Velvet Antler Technologies. You can find them online, and like I said, mine I picked up specifically from Shields, one of their dealers. So any questions, guys, please feel free to reach out and check out my other videos at Arrow Traditions on YouTube. I also have a Facebook and Instagram page as well where I do product reviews. I just uploaded a hunt on there, and so please check those out. Appreciate all the support, guys, and best of luck to you this next season, and hopefully I'll have some more product videos coming out.